Okay, there we go. I don't know why, but Grimrock seemed to be quite difficult loading up there. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. In the last part, Natalie died right at the end. I've only just, as I'm recording this, uploaded part 3, so I don't know how you guys will react to that. Don't forget, she's a high evasion character, and I think that guy that was attacking us might be able to hit me. Like, it's very hard to dodge projectiles. Maybe that's what happened, because I know that eventually, you know, this earth spell that we learned how to use, I think eventually enemies can cast that on you, and I'm not sure if you can evade stuff like that. I'm genuinely not. But she died. I have done a test file through this floor. I didn't have any other deaths, but then I didn't have any deaths on my first test file either, so I don't know whether that bodes well or not. But we need to revive her. It's maybe not as dramatic as I might have given the impression at the end of the last part. You can revive people, as far as I can remember, the best and only way, maybe, to revive people is at save crystals. So even if you're not doing that weird-ass thing that I talked about before, where you only save with those crystals, which now, by the way, on my second playthrough seems like it might be a bit more feasible. That's genuinely a very good idea to use them anyway to be able to revive your characters. I remember the first time I played through this game, I spent a lot of time basically reloading every time somebody died, and I was constantly saving because I never wanted anybody to die, so that they would always get the max experience. And I think what we'll find coming up in a second is that Natalie levels up after the other characters, because on our next level, because she was dead there when we killed that one, which kind of knocks them out of whack, and as the game goes forward it gets worse and worse, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so there's a locked door there. This floor's pretty simple, honestly, and I had a lot of people saying, oh, you should talk a little bit less in the videos. I kind of agree. I kind of think it's a bit hard to get immersed into any kind of LP just because you do have someone, no matter who it is, nattering away in your ear all the time. You're not always going to be able to appreciate like the ambient atmosphere of it, but I can be a bit more quiet, and this reminds me a lot of something I said a long time ago when I was doing my Limbo LP. Anyway, we're going to slaughter these guys. We've also got some gear stuff to sort out, because the more savvy of you might have noticed I did some stupid stuff. So I've got machete here. I think I'm going to be making this guy go on maces. I haven't actually waited for your answer at the end of the last episode of what we should make him do, but I have noticed that as you level maces up, that gives you vitality, which is pretty cool. So I might make him do that. Regardless, I'm going to give him this machete anyway for now, because it means he'll hit more. Natalie, shields. I stupidly just gave, oh, this is my heavy armor guy. Of course he's going to have a shield. Shields in this game actually give you evasion and nothing else. They just weigh a lot and they give you evasion. So it's best if Natalie has the shield, frankly. And we'll get more, which we can put on Chaos later anyway, so I'm going to give her the shield. Further, I gave him the lurker boots, which is evasion +5 for skilled thieves. Well, clearly that needs to go on Natalie instead, so we've just boosted her evasion by like 10, because we gave her an extra 5 on the boots and an extra 5 on the shield, which is a big difference. That means she's barely going to be getting hit now just from that alone. So that was something I noticed in my test LP. And I also noticed, yeah, torches. I don't have anyone with a torch on at the moment. We can actually give Arachnia the torch in her second hand, because a wand is a spellcasting item, which means if I right click this, it acts as if it was an open hand, so I can still like use my spells with that, so that's pretty cool. And also I'd given Liz something different too after a while. What was it? I'm not 100% sure. I think as we go through we'll get some loot. But I had a really nice setup on these characters later on. I'm going to put the torch on the outside hand just so that it's easier. That's the way we came. I had kind of a nice setup by the end of this floor. Oh yeah, I gave her a compass. There you go. I knew there was something here. So now as we turn around, we'll actually get to use this compass. Honestly, it's not amazing. There's a key here too. It's not amazing for me because I can just press tab constantly and look at the map. And you might find I play a little bit like I play Guild Wars, where I'm just constantly tabbing into the map over and over and over again, which might be a bit annoying, but I am trying to stop myself from doing that, because I think you kind of appreciate the game a lot more if you just try and take the time to learn where you are and what's been around you. So I'm going to try and do that as much as possible instead of relying on the map. That said, if I didn't have a map of my own, the compass I'm sure would be very helpful for people who wanted to make their own maps. And I had a couple of you guys actually comment and saying that you really liked playing games like that and it reminds you of old D&D games and stuff, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, we come into an empty room. There's a lever here which we can pull to go through the next switch, but there's also through the next door. But there's also a note on the wall that says "Shelter left, cells right." Well, obviously, okay, so we've just opened up the cells there, but there's nothing on this wall except an empty torch thing. Well, let's see what we can do. We've got plenty of torches. Let's put the torch on it. Just there we go. So this is the first secret of this floor. There's quite a few secrets on this floor, I think. An iron bassinet, which is heavy armor. The way armor works in this game is it will reduce your evasion, as it reads here, unless you have proficiency in that type of armor. Now, the only type of character that can get proficiency in armors is, guess what, the fighters. So these other guys will have low evasion and stuff. Like, I'm going to be giving Liz light armor, which is going to reduce her evasion, which is why at character creation I gave her vitality instead of dexterity. I don't know how much of that I really explained. In fact, I don't know whether I was entirely clear. I've actually filmed another video when I very started this LP. Oh, hello, Mr. Snail. When I very started this LP, I actually filmed myself creating this team of characters. I keep missing the snail. And my intention was to upload it while we were on floor 1, because then you guys could actually see exactly how to spec these guys. But when I went to editing that video, I talked about like a lot of complicated character statistic stuff that I'm sure wouldn't make much sense. So we've got some items behind this gate here which we can pick up through the gate, which you might not know, but this kind of teaches you that. Speaking of the light armor, there we go. We can finally put some on this here. There's also a key which we need to grab through the bars. Can't quite get to those arrows though. We want arrows for Liz, of course, so we'll have to see what we can do there. But yeah, I talked about all this really complicated stuff on character creation. I was like, nobody's gonna make any sense of this at all. So I might upload it like way later in the LP when I've slowly explained more and more of these things. So we have a rock here, and that's the other side of the cell there, right? So you can spend a while faffing about thinking, well, how do I get through this cell? And I swear to God, on my first playthrough, I got through like the first 3 floors before I redid it. So technically, I've kind of done three playthroughs. Every single time I come to this point, I forget exactly how I got through, and then I remember, or I see, of course, that there's a little rock there. So the second secret, pretty quickly on this floor, right there, we get our arrows. We can't fire them or anything. They're not like rocks that you can just kind of sling away. You need to be able to have an actual bow to use them, and later on you get bolts for crossbows and stuff like that. So we can't quite do that yet. Anyway, we did find a rock on the floor. This is useful because we can drop it on one of these pressure pads. Of course, you don't have to move it into... Technically, you can always carry one extra item that you might not know you can carry, because you can always have one actually clicked in your hand. We've got another rock there. We have 5 of them. We've got plenty of rocks. Way down the pressure plates. In we go. Very standard. Oh! And then there's this thing. Very standard puzzle. This is a different type of enemy. These are these gargoyle things. Now, the way they attack is kind of interesting, because when they attack, they move forward a block. I explained on the last few episodes that moving around is kind of a big bit of this game. Like, you've got to dodge out of the way of stuff. And these guys have a bit of a more unique way of attacking, because when they do, they're going to be lunging towards you. So they'll get to you much quicker than other enemies that might have to stop to, you know, stand about. So the best thing to do is strafe, basically, with these guys. Instead of, there we go, instead of pissing about just running backwards, because they'll probably catch you anyway. So anyway, we progress a bit further on, and this reminds me, I have a big feeling I'm going to keep coming out with like Tomb Raider references, and I don't know why. It's not the only game I've ever played in my life, but a lot of this game reminds me of it. I don't know why. I already mentioned with the keys, but this reminds me of the first Tomb Raider, like the 3rd level. The 2nd level, there's this bit where you've got to get through 2 gates, and that's what we got to do here. There's our beloved save crystal there. Maybe we're weak at this point. We really need to save. We want to get there. How do we do it? Well, there's a key here for the first gate. There's actually a key on the inside as well. So we need 2 keys basically to get through, and there's only one more passage we can go down. So actually, no, there's 2. What am I talking about? There are 2, aren't there? Yeah, there's 2. So we can go down this one, or we can go down this one. This one's pretty interesting. I got really stuck on this when I first played the game. So there's a load of snails behind this door here. We've also got a sign that says no weapons allowed inside. Well, what do we do there? So we've got like a platform here which we can put stuff on, but it doesn't do anything. Now it says no weapons allowed inside. So for what the solution to this puzzle is, you need to drop a weapon on this. So we have this spare knife from earlier, which I'm going to place on it, which means that we can still go in there with all of our weapons, and the gate will open. So that's the way you solve it. But I got really stuck here because it said no weapons allowed inside. So I was busy like just stripping my characters off and just dropping everything on the floor. And I think I had something on that pedestal like early on that wasn't a weapon, but that got it stuck in my head that it was just like an impossibility that this had anything to do with the puzzle. And indeed, after a long enough time, you forget that there was no items on that in the first place. So I then had it stuck in my head. This had nothing to do with the puzzle, because it was just holding a bit of loot that I'd found earlier. And then I got really confused, and I was scared that it was a weapon that was on there that I'd equipped onto my characters, and it was a specific thing I weren't allowed to have in the game. It was just ridiculous. But that's the solution. It took me a really long time first time. This is the reason why this LP is going to be shorter than on my first playthrough. Yeah, so we get a key. There's nothing else that special in here except for a switch, which gives us, once again, another secret. Now, these are some pretty cool boots. I believe I want these on Arachnia. These give you both protection and dexterity. So far, Liz only has protection, but Arachnia's got nothing. Yeah, so I want it on her because she's a dexterous mage, so she's going to be dodging stuff, she's going to be tanking stuff, and on our front line she's going to be dodging stuff, he's going to be tanking stuff, and they're much more proficient at it than these guys, but these guys are more offensive than these guys, if that makes sense. We can even take our knife back now if we want, but I don't need it. It would just overburden me, so I'm going to leave it. There's no like dual wielding bonuses or anything in this game, though I think that would be an interesting way to do things. It's very much just what hand you want to use and where. So we've got another gate here. We can pull a chain to go through that thing. And we've also got a room here. This room also gave me trouble on my first playthrough. There's a switch on the door. What does that switch do? Enter thy grave. What does the switch do? I don't remember that switch. Oh, okay, so it just closes the door. What? Why would I want to do that from the outside? In case it was already shut, but why would it already be shut? I'm not sure. Anyway, this is kind of difficult. Do I save? I'm not going to save. I'm going to try my best not to constantly save in this LP. So we've got nothing but a pressure plate. Looks a bit ominous, doesn't it? Okay, I'm just going to explain. When we stand on the pressure plate, this door's going to open, the walls are going to open, and that wall's going to open, and enemies are going to come out, and they're going to ambush us. So we want to be ready with our shit. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to tread on it. This is the first door to open. We're going to ambush the guy that comes out of it. Okay, so get ready. Don't cast your spell for the love of God on the wall before it's already open, because that will damage your whole party, and that's what I did on my test run yesterday, and it was really dangerous. So, gonna keep swinging at him. Hopefully, if I can get a couple of lucky RNG rolls, I can actually kill him in reasonable time. Come on, come on. Because right now the other doors, there we go. The other doors are opening, and there we go. They're closing in around me. So now, because I've focused on just one like little cubby hole. The best thing to do is to do that, because now they're not going to gang up on you and surround you, because you're just kind of cornered in here. So we can do this, and we should be fine. And also, if we're clever, we can pick up a shield mid-fight, and we can pick up a spear mid-fight. There we go. I'm going to put the torch away. I know we're fighting in darkness for a second, but the reason why I've done that is so that Chaos can survive a couple more hits, and also because Arachnia now, because this has been a protracted fight and she's a fire mage, she's out of energy, so I can now have her use that spear to continue fighting, even though she doesn't have the energy to use like her fireballs. The main thing about that, though, I'm doing it again. I'm just constantly talking about mechanics. I don't care, guys. I don't care. The main thing about that is Arachnia is now going to get caught in this horrible cycle where even swinging the spear costs her energy, and that means she's never going to regen enough energy to cast another spell. So for mages, you kind of have to decide, do you want them to have like an offhand physical capability, or through a spear, which I think kind of gets weaker as the game goes along, or do you want them to just be constantly focusing and always having the willpower that they need? Anyway, we've got a Tattered Cloak here. This is another slot for your character. We're going to put it on our frontline guys, as you can see. Was there anything else? And we're also going to have this. Bone Amulet, which is another slot for your characters. Weight 0.2, a primitive amulet made out of bones that are bound together with string. And we can equip it, but it doesn't give us any stats at all. So the savvy gamer might just think, oh right, okay, well this is just something vaguely interesting, it's taught me what amulets are, I'll get a decent one later. That's what I thought when I first played. I'm a savvy gamer. And eventually I realised, oh okay, so I don't need this, and I replaced it. I'm not a savvy gamer. Actually, this is one of those, it's kind of cheap actually, but I quite like it. It's very old school design. This thing is used for a secret right near the end of the game. Right near the end of the game, and you have no indication that that is the case. But if you lug it around with you, and you read the riddles correctly later on in the game, you can realise, oh, this is used for something. And indeed, even when you're like all the way down there, like on the 9th floor or whatever, however far it is, you can eventually then realise, oh, I need this thing from ages ago, and come all the way back up here and try and find it. But, you know, that's quite the detour to be making. Anyway, this is quite a difficult fight, so we're going to press R to rest, as I showed you in the first video, to get our health and energy back up. Zzz. What is happening? collective dream. Oh, I know you. I know what you seek. Look for me down below, and I might help you. Ooh, okay, so this game's quite good. One of the reasons why I really like this is you think you know what's going on with it. You think, oh, there's no plot here, there's nothing going on with this, and then boom, it does crap like that. So we can seal off the room, I suppose, if we really want to. But we didn't get a key in there, did we? Did we get a key in there? I can't remember. Oh, no, was that the first key that we got? Yeah, that was the key from the first room. Yeah, and we don't have a key, so this was almost a bit of a dud, almost. There was nothing much going on in here, except for the fact we had some stuff to fight. So a bit of a booby trap room. I feel like it's worth it. Yeah, you think you know where this game's going, and then it turns out it's got lots of other stuff, and you'll keep getting surprised as you go down. Weird stuff will start happening. Anyway, there's a sack in there which we want, but it's too far away to grab through the bars. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. There's a monster in there, standing patiently waiting. There's nothing in there, and there's nothing in there. Okay, so you might get the impression, right, we've got to open these doors. Oh, also, sorry, I'm going to get the torch back out. Sorry if anyone's been blinded. There we go, and we're going to get rid of the compass. As I say, it's a nice item, but I think it's more for if you're making your own maps. So, yeah. And that's kind of a scary thought that early on you have to make your own maps without the compass. Anyway, though, there's two buttons, and I guess the idea is that you're meant to be thinking, oh, these are going to open different cells. So we're going to press it, and in fact it doesn't do that at all. What it does is this like portal thing moves into the cells, and it will start teleporting stuff out of them, and that's not going to be clear for a while, but it teleports them into the back end of the room. So if you're lucky and you pick the right switch, I'm not sure which one, oh god, wrong button, if you pick the right switch you'll actually be okay, and you'll just get the sack and you don't have to fight this guy. But there's a chance that you'll pick the wrong one and this guy will come out first. It also might not be clear where this guy came from, or that he was teleported out if you just kind of spam in the switches. But that is what's happening. And you can quickly look over, and the light that the thing casts will show you if the sack has come out or not. There we go. This is a sack. This is what I was talking about before. These expand your inventory. You can right click them. It's a container, as we can see inside the sack. There's an iron key. There's also a leather cap, which we can put... Oh, no, not on her, not on her. I haven't been given her leather armor, have I? No. Okay. So we can put this on, because that would lower her evasion. So we're going to put that onto Liz, so she's got more defense to go with her vitality. And we're going to get the bread out. I almost said cheese there. Actually, we're going to leave the bread in, because now this is going to become a food stack for me. So Natalie's not going to carry my food. I'm going to put all my food into there, and then Chaos, who's got the biggest carrying capacity, is going to have like loads of sacks and stuff laid up on him. It's a typical Minotaur, and he's going to be like my food carrier, I think, since he's got the highest carrying capacity. And yeah, I think I ate food earlier without explaining that, but I'm sure you guys understand. Anyway, so there we go. We've got 2 keys now, one out of the sack, one out of the room with the snails in it. Let's progress in, and we get to the glory of the next save crystal. And then kind of the second half of the first floor. It's 18 minutes. I would have preferred to have ended this episode before there, but thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm actually doing live proper outros and intros because of the terrible cuts before. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you tomorrow for probably the next half of the second floor. I'll see you then.